welcome to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey.
Lots to talk about with Raw and SmackDown, and at the end of the show I will explain what's going to be happening for the next 5 weeks. But let's start off with how we have started off so many of our shows in 2023 with the Bloodline. It was the storyline throughout all of SmackDown. We open up, Solo Sikoa gets the title of the Tribal Prince. Jimmy Uso gets punked a little bit, and then we get some adversaries coming in as well.
Yeah, so this is just the next phase of the storyline. A lot of people did listen, but the wise man did give a spoiler. We're not at the end game yet of this storyline. We're only in in a baseball terms, we're only in inning 5. So, yeah, it makes sense that they're setting up Solo for his solo run after the group is over. And they're making him more and more and more of a threat to Roman. Putting him in the position of being the next tribal chief just makes it to where Roman is going to be more and more and more paranoid about him as time goes along.
Yeah,
one thing leads to another, and then he loses the title.
That's still, at some point, right, Roman Reigns has to lose this championship. Is it at WrestleMania? Is it further on down the line? Is it against some of the guys showing up now? Is it against the Rumble winner? There's so many potential jumping off points for bits of the storyline, but I think you're right. I think we are pretty well focused in on, if you want to call it the next phase, this phase is the Solo Roman piece. And I'd been saying, Solo coming out as a singles competitor. I'll find a synonym so I don't say Solo twice. Coming out as a singles competitor and straight into the main event. Do I think he'll take the title? Probably not. But I could definitely see him doing damage in that main event scene. I could see him potentially being put in a number one contendership elimination chamber match to, ensure that certain people don't win. I could see some sort of storyline around that, potentially then walking out the winner of that. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it would be one heck of a thing to surprise everybody with Solo Sikoa versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania this year. It's the last thing that I would expect.
Yeah.
I still think that the route they're going to go is the least one I want to see happen, but most likely to happen, and that's obviously Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns again. But how do we get there? The most likely option is taking the briefcase off of Damian Priest, which again makes it the second briefcase in 3 years that's happened to the briefcase holder.
Yeah, I think there's 3 cross-brand opportunities. You got your Rumble coming up. You got your Money in the Bank briefcase, which is in play. And you got your Edge, is it Edge at Elimination Chamber? Where you just sort of decide that you're in the match now.
Yep.
Could definitely see any of those options being the way that Cody gets his hands on Roman Reigns again. But almost as likely as, he doesn't jump ship. We've seen such a recent crop of opponents for Roman Reigns come out, whether that's Solo Sikoa or that's down the line. But we saw, LA Knight wants another shot. Randy Orton's returned and wants a shot. AJ Styles is back and wants a shot. And there's a lot of guys in line that if the title's changing hands at WrestleMania or if Cody's jumping in at WrestleMania, they're not all going to get a turn.
Yeah. We're getting a number one contenders match, I think, next week on the first SmackDown of the new year.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a fatal 4-way. Randy Orton's probably winning that. Although this new jacked up AJ Styles might win it too.
Yeah, there's so many good contenders. I think LA Knight had his shots. I think he's not in as much of a running as the others. I do think it is Orton or AJ, and we'll just have to see which side of the coin ends up being flipped. But I don't suspect either of them will be picking up the win, which maybe that's why AJ Styles going against him takes a bit more sense, but if Randy Orton's entire storyline is going against the Bloodline, then one time or another he'll eventually get his hands on the Tribal Chief, I'm sure.
Yeah, so that's why I have him winning it to go to the Rumble. So he can be screwed over by Solo Sikoa, and then put Solo Sikoa over at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And then you have the two biggest stars in the last 20 years having put Solo Sikoa over in 4 months.
Do you need anything more? There's Solo a made man at that point.
At that point, he would be a made man. You would start working on his character, and you would slowly split him off from the group and make him his own thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see what happens with that WWE Championship. We know vaguely more what's going to happen with the United States Championship. We already posited way back when that Kevin Owens was going to win this tournament. He comes out on top of his first round matchup. Carmelo Hayes coming out on top as well in his first round matchup, setting them both up for a clash. And looks like the tournament is still Kevin Owens to win.
Yeah, a healthy Kevin Owens was always going to win this tournament because we're going to get Paul versus Owens. That was just set in stone. But I would absolutely pay mega money to see Melo versus Paul. Mm-hmm. I think that would be a phenomenal match. Plus, it would get Melo over hugely on the main roster for him to go toe-to-toe verbally with Logan Paul, which, regardless of how you feel, does have charisma about him, and it does have charisma, and he can talk. So I would love to see
made a career out of talking.
Yeah. So all things considered, I think it is Kevin Owens' tournament. But if there is one person in this group that I'm rooting for, it is Carmelo Hayes, even though he hasn't finished his NXT story yet.
Yeah, they still got to make their clash as we develop. You know, who attacked Trick? That's still the storyline. Let's talk a little bit Intercontinental Championship, other side of the shows. Gunther versus Miz. Miz's last shot, and unfortunately comes up short after an amazing banger.
Yeah, but is it really going to be his last shot? I don't think so. I don't know how they do it. I know the stipulation, but we've had 2 banger matches. Who would say no to a third?
Yeah.
I want WrestleMania. I want WrestleMania title versus career. I think Miz could do kind of you've been calling for maybe Cody doing the HBK stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What about having Miz do it?
Yeah.
Maybe have Miz try to win the Rumble, and then it's saying that if he won it, he would not go for a world title. He would go for the Intercontinental title. Have him barely lose, similar to HBK, like Final 4 or something, and then have him attack Gunther after, and because I'm going to assume that one of the Elimination Chamber matches will be for the Intercontinental title, but Miz won't be allowed in it because of this stipulation. So have him attack Gunther after the match, and have him basically say, "I'm so certain I can beat you that I will put my career on the line at WrestleMania. If I can't beat you, I will walk away." Yeah.
I think it would be an amazing character moment for The Miz. I don't hate it. I'm not against it. I think there's still a tipping towards Lesnar Gunther. It all depends what happens at the Royal Rumble. And I think that's going to really tell us going forward. You know, as you say, if in the coming weeks The Miz is saying like, "Hey, I want the championship still," well, then you've got your seed, right? And the seed's just got to grow. But if The Miz just sort of fades out of the Intercontinental title scene, then the hopes might fade out as well.
Yeah. I am saying this. I'm very happy Miz is getting his due.
Mm-hmm.
People are actually organically they are getting behind him as a face.
Something
Not
I
the
never
way,
thought I'd see.
yeah. Especially considering the last time they tried it failed so miserably. A lot of that had to do with Shane McMahon, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, and so that's why I'm throwing that out there as a storyline because it's something they could legitimately do and it would be believable for the most part. You could see him just going crazy trying to get another shot, even though he's not supposed to have a shot. And maybe just driving Gunther mad enough that he finally just gives it to him.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens in the Intercontinental title scene. It is surely a heated up one, but for now we're going to go into our entrance theme of the week in celebration of The Miz's amazing career and his second, third, fifth rise that he's on right now. Maybe even be 20th rise. The Miz has done a whole hell of a lot. It is his entrance theme playing for you right about now. And you're back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. We talked about the Bloodline to kick off the first half of the show. I think it's time to talk about the Judgment Day to kick off the second half.
Yeah, what can we say? This storyline has evolved, and now we have ourselves a Sami Zayn in Judgment Day. Oh, and it's the perfect person.
Yeah.
We have missed R-Truth so badly.
If there's somebody that does pure comedy, it's R-Truth.
Yep. And he does it so well. He deserves a Hall of Fame induction someday. Much like, in my opinion, so does Santino Marella for the same reasons. But it's just, he's played so well off of the members of Judgment Day, at the same time also driving JD McDonagh absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it's working really well because the Judgment Day at the moment are meant to be, kind of comedic, but for the most part, sort of straight characters. And so having Truth in here really bounces off them amazingly. Breaking everybody, I'm sure, exactly the same as Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. I don't think it'll follow the exact same formula. I think they have different things up their sleeves. But as far as, I don't want to say the rules, as far as the record shows, R-Truth's in the Judgment Day, and JD lost his match, so he's out.
But then they did a promo and said he wasn't out. So I do think this is not going to last nowhere near how long Sami was in the Bloodline. It's not even going to last as long as he was accepted being in the Bloodline. I do think in a couple weeks we're going to see a beatdown of R-Truth. It just seems like that's the logical conclusion. They finally just get fed up and just beat him down. Maybe get saved by Cody or something. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, enjoy it while it lasts, because it's not going to last for very long.
I counter you with R-Truth legitimately joins the Judgment Day full time.
Okay, the only way that, all right, I'll give you that. If when he accepts, he thinks he was joining the Bloodline the whole time.
I'll let you have it. But while we're talking about the Judgment Day, they are embroiled in a feud with the Creed brothers at the moment, and on the main event of Raw, they did defend their WWE Tag Team Championships.
Phenomenal match. Definitely put over the Creed brothers hugely in that match. So yeah, I think we've got ourselves, we're building the division more.
Mm-hmm.
It is a question of who exactly will be the ones that takes the titles off of them.
And keeps the titles off them.
Yeah. But the Creed brothers, I think they've got some pretty good momentum now.
Mm-hmm.
They had a great match with the champions, and they're getting segments and stuff of getting people to understand who they are.
Yeah, I liked them when we were on NXT. I liked the Diamond Mine group because of these two and Ivy. And honestly, my favorite parts of the group are still around, so I'm quite happy at that.
For the record, when I first saw Ivy on Raw on Monday night, I had no clue who she was. I had no clue. I thought it was just like a random celebrity or something that was getting a match with Rhea for some reason.
No, that is former Diamond Mine. I don't know. It's weird to say that she's a part of the Creed brothers because that doesn't quite work. But I guess she orbits them and kind of their manager. They kind of just hype everybody up.
Yeah. But I enjoyed their interactions with Alpha Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as much as we enjoy the Creed brothers and stuff, I think I want to talk about Alpha Academy a little more.
Okay. You want to go to another tag team?
I want to go to Azawa.
I'll just let you talk.
With Ivar. Yeah, he had a match with Ivar on Raw. It was short, but it was fun, and I really enjoy what Azawa was doing with Alpha Academy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it works quite well. He's actually getting used. He's getting to do stuff, and it wasn't just 3 moves, squash with a moonsault, move on. You actually thought for a second he was going to win the match. It may not end with much for him in the end. I can't say one way or the other on that. But what I can say is I am enjoying the heck out of the run. And anytime Azawa is on the screen with Alpha Academy, laughter is going to follow, and it's just going to be an enjoyable time.
Yeah, we talked about R-Truth, and we talked about Santino Marella as great comedy wrestlers, and right now Alpha Academy and specifically Tozawa are really pulling it off. It's hard to outshine Otis when it comes to comedy, and then Tozawa just comes in and nails it. And I think it is one of the better acts we have on Raw right now. I think it's yet another amazing tag team in that division that could have, individual branded tag team titles, and they could definitely have had them. Do I think that they would take the titles off of Judgment Day? Maybe. We saw Chad Gable almost capture the Intercontinental Championship, so, nothing's out of bounds. But we'll have to see what happens.
As I've said before, I want to see Otis and Azawa as a legit tag team.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could do some phenomenal stuff. You could have them working with the Creed brothers. You could have them working with Ivar put together with a random person. Because unfortunately, we have an injury in that tag team.
Yeah.
And that would be fun to watch for a while. It's just, there's so many stuff that you can do with adding them as a tag team.
Mm-hmm.
And then the additional benefit of that is you don't have to use Chad Gable as a tag team specialist. You can have him go off and do mid-card and upper mid-card stuff and start elevating him. And maybe next year at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, we're talking about Chad Gable being an option to win that thing. Something 2 years ago you would have never heard come out of any of our mouths.
Why not?
Yeah.
Well,
one thing I don't want to see is them splitting Maxine off. Maxine makes it that much better.
It's a group of 4. Keep it that way.
Yeah.
Well, talking about Maxine, she had a match against Rhea Ripley. It didn't go amazingly, but it did end in Ivy Nile coming out and getting herself a Women's World Championship shot at WWE Day 1, which I think is a couple of weeks away now. We won't have a show previewing it, so we can talk about some of the matches on the card in the next 6 minutes, but one of those is Rhea Ripley, Ivy Nile. I guess, how short do you think that one's going to go? Or do you think that Ivy's going to get a showcase the same way the Creed brothers got a showcase against the Judgment Day?
She'll get a showcase. It'll probably be about the same length as most of Rhea's matches, 7 to 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be a showcase. It'll show what she can do, and there'll be a scare for Rhea. So it shows that she's not infallible. But yeah, it's just going to be a stopgap in the overall story, just the same as the other women's match, singles match is.
Which is Becky Lynch versus Nia Jax, sort of putting the cap on that storyline and rounding it out.
Yeah, it only took them 5 years to actually have a match between the two of them.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say Day 1's a throwaway, but it's on a non-pay-per-view with a little bit of build.
They're making it a pay-per-view level event. These are matches that you would put on a pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
You would put Nia Jax versus Becky Lynch on there. You would put, maybe not to as much of a agree, but you would put the women's title match on there on the pay-per-view. You would. So they're trying to make it an important show.
Yeah, don't tell me they're going to put Baszler and Stark versus Natalia and Nox on a pay-per-view. We'll chill it on that one.
There's been crazier things that they put on a pay-per-view, so I'm not going to say they wouldn't.
Could be a pre-show.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just they're trying to build that as a special event because it's the first Raw of the new year. They're not doing the Day 1 pay-per-view like they did a couple years ago. So yeah, it's just going to be a special event.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the one match that we haven't talked about that's on that card is Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. A match that I potentially thought we were going to see at Royal Rumble, getting it a few weeks early.
That's because I think we're probably going to get like a triple threat or something at the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like there's so much that they can do here. It's possible. Maybe this is where they swerve us all. And they actually put Drew over.
Anything can happen.
Everything we thought we knew about the Royal Rumble.
It would change everything.
Yeah. Because if Drew becomes World Heavyweight Champion, then that means Seth versus CM Punk can happen without the freaking title on the line.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see what sort of shape it all shakes up on, because I think there's a few like that around the place where, we were talking about with Roman Reigns, we could go this way, we could go that way. Seth Rollins has held the title for a little while. Who's to say he's going to make it to WrestleMania?
Yeah. I mean, it's also possible that he wins the match, then gets his head kicked off, and then Damian Priest comes out and cashes in.
Which still shakes it up.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, that's all we got time for this week. It's been great talking to you.
Hi, me.
So Grady, hello, that's me, is going to be off traveling for the next 5 weeks, heading over to Japan and some other countries around there. Going to go see New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom, going to go see a Stardom show, a TJPW show, a Choco Pro show, as well as just enjoy a lovely vacation. But what that means is that our next 5 episodes are going to be pre-recorded. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to talk about any of the latest and greatest breaking news. We're not going to be able to preview Royal Rumble. I think we come back either the week of or the week after the Royal Rumble. And we're not going to be able to look at Day 1, obviously. But Unfortunately, I'm not going to take the audio kit and lug it around Asia. It is just a bit too much of an effort, but do tune in to see what did we do? We did our top WWE women, our top WWE tag teams, our favorite WrestleMania matches, and we capped it all off with a 2-part special of our top WWE superstars of all time. So tune into those over the next 5 weeks. Then after that, we will come back live. And since you won't hear this from me between now and then, have a happy holidays, stay safe, have a great new year, whatever celebrations you have, whether it's just spending time with family, enjoy it, get some time to yourself, and yeah, enjoy the December-January period. And you'll hear me week to week, but you'll hear live me or more live me. And more live Josh back in January. And until then, we'll see you next time.